The dining room glitters with candlelight. Crystal glasses catch the flame like tiny stars. Around the mahogany table sit 8 people: business partners, distant relatives, people who came for the free wine and the spectacle of pity. At the head of the table sits Liam, 32, handsome in that careless way that comes from never having to try. His smile is practiced, his suit expensive, his wedding ring gleaming. Next to him, touching his arm with a familiarity that should raise eyebrows, sits Chloe, 25, dressed in soft pastels that scream, "I'm harmless." She wears the face of a caretaker, the costume of compassion, but her eyes shine with something else entirely when she looks at Liam, something hungry. At the opposite end of the table, isolated by a careful arrangement of empty chairs, sits Ava, 28, wearing oversized dark glasses that swallow half her face. Her hands rest on a white cane propped against her chair. She wears a simple dress, beige, shapeless, the kind of dress someone else picked out. The kind of dress chosen for someone who supposedly can't see herself in the mirror anyway. Liam stands, tapping his knife against his glass. The conversation dies. "A toast," he announces, his voice thick with false emotion. "3 years ago today, I married the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen." He pauses for effect. Several guests smile sadly. "And 6 months ago, fate was cruel to us. The accident took so much from my dear wife." Ava's face remains perfectly still behind those dark glasses. Her hands don't tremble. She might as well be a statue. "But I made a vow," Liam continues, placing his hand over his heart. "For better or worse, in sickness and in health. So I brought in my dear cousin Chloe, a trained nurse, to help care for Ava. Because that's what love means." "Sacrifice." Chloe bows her head modestly, but her hand slides under the table to squeeze Liam's thigh. "So here's to my poor wife," Liam raises his glass higher, "who lives in darkness, but will always have my light to guide her." The guests raise their glasses. "Here, here." And then Liam turns to Chloe. Right there, in front of everyone who isn't really looking, whose attention has already shifted to their wine, he leans down and kisses her, full on the mouth. His hand cups the back of her neck. Her lips part for him. It lasts 3 seconds, maybe 4, long enough to be unmistakable, long enough to be deliberate. But they've positioned themselves perfectly. The centerpiece blocks most guests' view. The others are drinking, talking, distracted. Only one person has a direct line of sight. Ava. She sits perfectly still. Then, slowly, she reaches for her own glass. Her movements are careful, measured, the movements of someone who navigates by memory and touch. She finds the stem, wraps her fingers around it, lifts it with the precision of long practice. "Thank you, Liam," she says. Her voice is clear, steady. What a beautiful speech. Liam and Chloe break apart. Liam's smile doesn't falter. Why would it? His blind wife couldn't possibly have seen. Ava continues, tilting her head slightly toward where Chloe sits. "And Chloe, I have to tell you something." Chloe's voice drips with false sweetness. "Yes, dear? That red lipstick looks terrible on you." Ava's lips curve into a smile, and it looks even worse on my husband's mouth. The table goes silent. Actually silent. The kind of silence where you can hear the candle wax dripping. Liam laughs, but it's forced. "Honey, I think you're confused." "Maybe the medication." "I'm not confused, Liam." And then Ava does something no one expects. She reaches up with both hands and removes her dark glasses. Her eyes are clear, bright, focused, and they're staring directly at Chloe with the intensity of a predator who's been watching prey for a very, very long time. "I saw everything," Ava says softly. "I've been seeing everything. For 30 days. Chloe's face drains of color. Liam's mouth opens, closes, opens again like a fish drowning in air. "Surprise," Ava whispers, and takes a long, deliberate sip of her wine, never breaking eye contact. "But we need to go back to where this all began. Back to the moment when Ava's world went dark, 4 months earlier. They were driving home from a charity gala. Ava wore emerald green that night, a dress that made Liam's colleagues' wives whisper with envy. She was happy, genuinely happy. They'd been married 2 years, and she still believed in the fairy tale. Still believed that the man beside her in the driver's seat was her forever. "Did you see Margaret's face when they announced our donation?" Ava laughed, touching up her lipstick in the visor mirror. "I thought she was going to choke on her champagne." Liam didn't answer. His phone buzzed in the cup holder. Once, twice, 3 times. "Aren't you going to check that?" Ava asked. "It's nothing. Work stuff." But his hand twitched toward it. "Liam, you're driving. It can wait." Buzz, buzz, buzz. The light ahead turned yellow. Liam should have slowed down, but his eyes flicked to the phone screen, just for a second, just long enough to see the name C. Just long enough not to see the truck running the red light from the right. Ava saw it, though in that crystalline moment before impact, she saw everything with perfect clarity. The grille of the truck. The terrified face of the other driver. Liam's hand reaching for the phone instead of the wheel. She tried to scream his name, then glass, metal, the sound of her own bones breaking, and darkness, not the peaceful darkness of sleep, the absolute darkness of nothing. When Ava woke up 3 days later, the doctor's voice was gentle but final. "The impact caused severe trauma to your optic nerves. The swelling is extensive. We've done everything we can, but I'm afraid the damage is permanent. Mrs. Chen, you're blind." Liam stood beside her hospital bed, holding her hand. To any observer, he was the perfect husband, devastated, supportive, strong. "We'll get through this," he whispered, pressing her knuckles to his lips. "I promise, I'll take care of you." What Ava couldn't see was the way his eyes had already started calculating. The way he looked at her not with love, but with the cold assessment of someone evaluating a problem. An inconvenience. A burden. The first 2 weeks at home, Liam played his part beautifully. He guided her around the house. He described the flowers in the garden. He read to her at night. Ava cried often, mourning the loss of color, of light, of independence. And Liam held her, made comforting sounds, all while texting someone on his phone that she couldn't see. "I've been thinking," Liam said one morning over breakfast. Ava could hear him buttering toast. "You need more help than I can give. I have to go back to work eventually, and you can't be alone all day." "I can manage," Ava said, though her hands shook as she tried to find her coffee cup. She knocked it over. Hot liquid spread across the table. She wanted to cry but wouldn't give him the satisfaction. "See, you need someone here, someone trained." He paused. "I have a cousin, Chloe. She's a nurse. She's between jobs right now, and she offered to move in and help take care of you." "A cousin? You never mentioned a cousin named Chloe." "Distant cousin. From my mother's side. You've never met her, but she's family, and she wants to help." What choice did Ava have? In her darkness, she was completely dependent, so she said yes. Chloe arrived the next day with 2 suitcases and a smile Ava could hear in her voice. Too bright, too eager. "Ava, I've heard so much about you. I'm so sorry about what happened, but don't worry, I'm here now. We're going to take such good care of you." The girl's hand was soft when she shook Ava's, soft and cold. "Thank you," Ava said, because what else could she say? "Let me show you to your room," Liam said to Chloe. Their footsteps retreated down the hall. Ava sat alone in the living room, hands folded in her lap, listening to them talk in voices just low enough that she couldn't make out the words. But she heard Chloe laugh, an intimate laugh, the kind of laugh that happens when 2 people share a secret. That first night, Ava woke to sounds, movement from the guest room next to the master bedroom, rhythmic, unmistakable. And Liam's side of the bed was empty. She lay there in her darkness, tears sliding silently into her hair, and understood. The cousin, the nurse, the help. It was all a lie. The cruelty started small, almost like they were testing her, seeing what they could get away with. Breakfast the first week. Ava could smell bacon, eggs, fresh coffee. Her mouth watered. "Here's your breakfast, Ava," Chloe said sweetly, setting a bowl in front of her. Ava felt for her spoon, dipped it in, tasted. Oatmeal. Plain. Cold. Flavorless. "Isn't it good?" Chloe asked. "It's a special heart-healthy recipe. Very good for you." Across the table, Ava heard the sound of Liam cutting into something. The sizzle of meat. The clink of fork on plate. Liam moaned. "This steak is perfect, Chloe. You're an amazing cook." "Oh, stop," Chloe giggled. Ava ate her cold oatmeal in silence. It got worse. They would stand right in front of her and make faces. She didn't know this yet, but they did. Liam would stick his tongue out at her while she asked him questions. Chloe would give her the middle finger while handing her medication. They would mock her movements. When Ava carefully felt her way to the bathroom, Chloe would walk behind her, imitating her hesitant steps, her reaching hands. Liam would laugh silently, his shoulders shaking. They had sex everywhere. On the couch while Ava sat in the armchair listening to an audiobook, headphones on, unaware that 3 feet away her husband was inside another woman. In the kitchen while Ava was in the shower, in Ava's own bed, waiting until she fell asleep and then doing it right beside her, quiet and careful. They stole from her. Chloe wore Ava's jewelry, her designer clothes, her shoes. She used Ava's expensive perfume, slept on Ava's silk pillowcases. What did it matter? The blind woman couldn't see. But the worst was the gaslighting. "Liam, you smell like perfume," Ava said one evening. "Women's perfume? Honey, I think you're imagining things. Maybe it's the stress." "No, I can definitely smell." "Ava." His voice turned sharp. "You can't even see. Now you can't smell properly either. Maybe we need to get you checked for neurological damage." She learned to stop questioning. 1 month after Chloe moved in, Ava overheard them in the study. She'd been looking for Liam to ask him something, navigating by touch and memory. The door was cracked open. "How much longer do we have to keep this up?" Chloe's voice, whiny. "Not much longer. I've been talking to lawyers. If we can prove she's mentally incompetent, not just blind, I can have her committed. Then I get full control of her trust fund, the house, everything. And then we can be together, really together. Then we can be together. I'll divorce her while she's locked away. She'll never even know what happened." Ava's hand flew to her mouth to stop the gasp. She backed away silently, her heart pounding so hard she thought they might hear it. "What about her family?" Chloe asked. "She doesn't have anyone. Parents died in a plane crash when she was 19. No siblings. A few distant relatives who never call. She's completely alone, completely dependent on me." "You're so smart, baby." The sound of kissing. Ava made it back to the living room, sank into her chair, and sat in stunned silence. They were going to lock her away, steal everything, and there was nothing she could do. She was helpless, blind, alone, or so she thought. 2 weeks later, her phone rang. Ava had learned to use the voice assistant, one of the few concessions to independence Liam had allowed. "Mrs. Chen, this is Dr. Patricia Wong from the Metropolitan Eye Institute. I've been consulting with Dr. Stevens about your case. I'd like you to come in for an examination. There's something I want to check." "I don't know if I can. My husband usually takes me to appointments, and he's very busy." "Mrs. Chen, this is important. Is there anyone else who could bring you?" Ava thought of her friend Rachel. They'd been college roommates. Rachel had visited twice since the accident, but Liam had made her visit so uncomfortable that she'd stopped coming. "Maybe, can I call you back?" "Please do. And Mrs. Chen, don't tell your husband about this call. Not yet." Something in the doctor's voice made Ava's skin prickle. Rachel came the next day while Liam and Chloe were out shopping, using Ava's credit cards, buying things Ava would never see. "Oh, honey," Rachel whispered when she saw Ava. Thin, pale, dressed in clothes that didn't fit right because someone else was choosing them. What has he done to you? Please, just take me to the doctor and don't tell anyone. At the institute, Dr. Wong examined her for an hour. Tests, scans, measurements. Finally, the doctor spoke. Mrs. Chen, the swelling has gone down significantly, more than we expected. I think we can restore your vision. Ava's breath caught. What? It won't be immediate. There will be a recovery period. But yes, I believe you'll see again. Tears streamed down Ava's face. When? When can we do the surgery? I can schedule you for next week. Yes, please. But Dr. Wong, I need you to promise me something. Whatever happens, whatever you find, don't tell my husband. Don't put it in any records he can access. Can you do that? Dr. Wong was quiet for a moment. Then, Mrs. Chen, is everything all right at home? No, it's not, but it will be soon. The surgery was a success. When the bandages came off, Dr. Wong's face swam into focus. Kind eyes, concerned smile. Can you see me? Yes, Ava whispered. I can see you. The recovery will take a few days for full clarity, but your vision is restored. You're going to be fine. Does anyone know? Did anyone call my husband? No, as far as the records show, you came in for a consultation. That's all. Ava gripped the doctor's hand. Thank you. Thank you so much. Ava, if you're in danger, I'm not anymore, because now I can see them coming. Rachel drove her home. Before Ava got out of the car, her friend grabbed her arm. What are you going to do? Ava put her dark glasses back on, picked up her white cane, and smiled. I'm going to watch. I'm going to see exactly who my husband really is, and then I'm going to make him wish he'd never taken my sight in the first place. She walked into her house, moving with the same careful hesitation she'd perfected over months. Inside, she could hear Chloe laughing, could smell expensive scotch. Her scotch. But now, behind her dark glasses, her eyes were open, and she saw everything. The first day of sight was torture. Ava walked through her front door, Rachel's car pulling away behind her. She heard them before she saw them. Liam's voice from the living room, drunk and loose. Did the blind bat have a nice outing? Chloe's laughter, sharp as broken glass. Ava moved carefully, maintaining the cautious shuffle she'd perfected, cane tapping, hand trailing along the wall. But behind her dark glasses, her eyes were wide open, drinking in everything. She turned the corner into the living room and had to bite the inside of her cheek to keep from gasping. Liam was sprawled on the couch, her couch, the $12,000 Italian leather one she'd picked out for their first anniversary. He wore her father's vintage watch, the one she'd inherited, the one he'd told her was somewhere safe. His feet, shoeless, rested on the coffee table. On her grandmother's antique coffee table. And Chloe, sweet, helpful Chloe, sat curled beside him wearing Ava's silk robe, the champagne-colored one from Paris, the one Ava had bought for her honeymoon. Chloe's hair was wet, which meant she'd been using Ava's bathroom, Ava's shower. On Chloe's finger glinted Ava's engagement ring, the 3-carat diamond that had belonged to Liam's grandmother. The one Ava hadn't been able to find for weeks, the one Liam said must have fallen off somewhere because you can't keep track of things anymore, honey. Ava's hands tightened on her cane. Every muscle in her body screamed to rip that ring off Chloe's finger, to claw at her face, to demand answers. But she didn't. Instead, she spoke in that same hesitant voice she'd been using for months. I'm home. We can see that? Liam said. He didn't get up, didn't offer to help her. How was the doctor? Fine, just a checkup. Nothing's changed. Of course nothing's changed, Chloe said, her voice dripping with false sympathy. The doctor told us from the beginning that the damage was permanent, didn't he, Liam? Permanent, Liam echoed. Behind her glasses, Ava watched him wink at Chloe. I'm tired, Ava said. I think I'll lie down. Good idea, Chloe said. You rest. We'll call you for dinner. Ava made her way to the bedroom, each step measured. She closed the door behind her and finally allowed herself to look, really look. Her bedroom. Their bedroom. It had changed. The photos of their wedding were gone from the nightstand. In their place sat a framed picture of Liam and Chloe at the beach, his arm around her waist, both of them laughing. When had they gone to the beach? How many lies had she been fed? Ava's closet door was open. Inside, she could see gaps where her favorite dresses used to hang. She walked closer, peeled off her glasses now that she was alone. Half her wardrobe was missing. The expensive half, the beautiful half. She opened Liam's closet. There, crammed between his suits, were her dresses, wrinkled, careless, treated like garbage. And in the very back, she found Chloe's suitcases, not in the guest room. Here, in the master bedroom, because Chloe had been sleeping here all along, in Ava's bed. And Ava had been moved to the guest room weeks ago under the guise that the master bedroom is too hard for you to navigate safely. Ava sat on the edge of the bed, her bed that smelled like another woman's cheap perfume, and breathed slowly. Carefully, she couldn't break. Not yet. She pulled out her phone, the one Liam thought she could barely use. But Ava had been practicing in secret with Rachel. She knew exactly what she was doing. She opened the Notes app and began typing. Day 1 of site restored. Evidence collected. Engagement ring on Chloe's finger. Father's watch on Liam's wrist. Photos of them together. My clothes in his closet. Chloe's belongings in master bedroom. Then she added, 30 days. I'll give myself 30 days to document everything before I destroy them. That evening, they called her for dinner. Ava put her glasses back on, picked up her cane, and made her way to the dining room with those careful, shuffling steps. She could see perfectly. Could see Liam and Chloe exchange a smirk as she felt for her chair. Careful, honey, Liam said, not moving to help her. Don't hurt yourself. Ava sat. A plate was placed in front of her. She could smell what was on it before Chloe even spoke. I made you something special, Ava. A healthy vegetable soup. Very nutritious. Ava picked up her spoon, made a show of feeling for the bowl's edge, and tasted. It was cold, bland, probably from a can. Across the table, she heard the sound of silverware on plates. She accidentally knocked her water glass, let it tip just enough that a few drops spilled. In the commotion of grabbing napkins, she glanced up quickly. Liam and Chloe were eating lobster with butter and garlic, a bottle of wine between them. The good wine, the bottle from Ava's collection that cost $800. Oh, Ava, be careful. Chloe sighed, dabbing at the water with a napkin, but Ava saw her roll her eyes at Liam. Sorry, Ava murmured. I'm so clumsy. Yes, you are, Liam said. Not kindly, just factual, like he was describing a defective product. Ava ate her terrible soup in silence while they moaned over their lobster, while they laughed. While Chloe fed Liam bites from her fork, her hand lingering on his mouth. But Ava was memorizing every detail, every cruelty, every moment. After dinner, she excused herself. I'm tired. I'll go to bed early. Sweet dreams, Ava, Chloe called out, then quieter, to Liam. Give her 20 minutes. I want you in the shower with me. Ava's jaw clenched, but she kept walking, kept up the act. In the guest room, she waited. 15 minutes. 20. Then she heard the shower start in the master bathroom. She crept out of her room, silent now. No cane needed. She moved through her own house like a ghost, seeing it clearly for the first time in months. The shower was running. She could hear them in there, giggling, the sound of water, the sound of bodies. Ava pulled out her phone. She'd downloaded a security camera app earlier with Rachel's help. Now she opened it and began setting up her phone as a hidden camera, propped on the dresser behind a decorative box, angled perfectly toward the bathroom door. She pressed record and slipped back to the guest room. Later, she would watch the footage, watch them emerge from the shower, naked and laughing. Watch Liam press Chloe against the wall, watch them on her bed. But she wouldn't watch it tonight. Tonight, she lay in the guest room bed, in the dark, and smiled. 29 days left, she whispered to the ceiling. Day 3, Ava decided to test them. At breakfast, she sat at the table and said casually, I had the strangest dream last night. I dreamed I could see again. Everything was so vivid. Colors, faces. It felt so real. She felt the temperature in the room drop. That's nice, honey, Liam said slowly. But it was just a dream. You know, the doctor said. I know what they said. Permanent damage. I'll never see again. Ava smiled softly. But it was such a beautiful dream. I saw you, Liam. You were wearing my father's watch. Silence. Heavy and thick. Then Liam laughed, but it was forced. You must have remembered it from before the accident. Your mind playing tricks. Must be, Ava agreed pleasantly. But she saw Chloe's hand shake as she poured coffee, saw Liam's eyes narrow with suspicion. Good. Let them wonder. Let them worry. Day 7. Ava found the documents. She waited until they left for the errands, which she knew meant shopping with her credit cards. The moment their car pulled out of the driveway, she dropped the act entirely. She moved through the house with purpose now, checking drawers, rifling through Liam's study. She found his laptop in his desk, password protected, but she knew the password. His birthday. The man had no imagination. Inside, she found emails. So many emails. Between Liam and Chloe going back 8 months, before the accident, long before, can't wait to get rid of the wife and start our real life together. She's so boring, so plain, nothing like you. Once I figure out how to access her trust fund, we're set for life. The accident. They'd been planning something even before the accident. The accident had just been a stroke of luck for them. A gift. Ava kept reading. Found draft documents for declaring her mentally incompetent. Found the name of a lawyer who specialized in difficult cases. Found a brochure for a psychiatric facility 3 states away. She photographed everything with her phone, every email, every document, every piece of evidence. In a locked drawer, she found jewelry boxes, empty ones, hers, and a pawn shop receipt. Liam had been selling her jewelry piece by piece. The sapphire earrings from her mother, the pearl necklace from her grandmother. Gone. Sold for cash. She found bank statements showing transfers from her accounts to one she didn't recognize. Thousands of dollars. Tens of thousands. Ava sat in Liam's leather chair, surrounded by evidence of his betrayal, and felt something cold and hard settle in her chest. Not sadness anymore. Not hurt. Rage. Pure, crystalline rage. She photographed the bank statements, the pawn shop receipt, everything. Then she heard a car in the driveway. Ava scrambled, closing windows on the laptop, shutting drawers, racing back to the guest room. She threw herself on the bed, grabbed her glasses, her cane, slowed her breathing. The front door opened. Ava, Liam called out. We're home. She made herself wait a few seconds. Then she called back, voice sleepy. In here. I was napping. She heard them laugh, heard shopping bags rustle, bought with her money. But soon, very soon, they would stop laughing. Day 12. Chloe made a mistake. Ava was sitting in the living room, audiobook playing through her headphones, looking for all the world like a helpless blind woman lost in her stories. But her eyes were open behind the dark glasses, watching. Chloe thought she was safe, thought Ava couldn't see. So she picked up Ava's phone from the side table where Ava had forgotten it. Chloe glanced at Ava, saw the headphones, saw the distant expression, and smiled. She carried the phone to the kitchen. Ava couldn't see exactly what Chloe was doing, but she could hear the beep of buttons, the soft curse when something didn't work. Liam, Chloe hissed. I can't get into her phone. What's her password? Try her birthday. Beep, beep, beep. Not working. Try mine. Beep, beep, beep. Nope. Forget it. She barely uses it anyway. What are you looking for? I wanted to see if she's been talking to anyone. That friend of hers, Rachel, I don't trust her. Rachel hasn't been here in weeks. We made sure of that. They'd been so cruel to Rachel during her visits that Rachel had stopped coming. But Rachel had been texting Ava and calling, and Ava had been answering, secretly, carefully, but Liam and Chloe didn't know that. You're paranoid, Liam said. Maybe. But that dream she mentioned, about seeing you wearing her dad's watch, that freaked me out. It was just a dream. She can't see anything. The doctors confirmed it. I know, but nothing. She's blind, she's helpless. And in 2 weeks, Dr. Martinez is going to declare her mentally incompetent, and we can put her away. Then everything she has becomes ours. The house, the trust fund, everything. 2 weeks? 2 weeks. I already paid him. He'll do whatever evaluation we need and sign whatever papers we want. Ava sat frozen in her chair. 2 weeks. They were going to have her committed in 2 weeks, which meant she had 2 weeks to complete her plan. That night, Ava made a call from the guest room, her voice barely above a whisper. Rachel, I need your help. I need you to help me install cameras in my house. Ava, are you sure about this? I'm sure. I need to document everything. And I need to do it now. When? Tomorrow. They're going out tomorrow afternoon. Liam has a meeting, and he's taking Chloe with him because she pretends to be his assistant now. Okay. I'll bring everything we need. Rachel, thank you for believing me. Always, honey, always. Day 13. Rachel arrived with a bag full of tiny cameras. Wireless, motion-activated, high definition. These are what private investigators use, Rachel explained, showing Ava how they worked. They look like ordinary objects, phone chargers, smoke detectors, picture frames. Together, they worked quickly. Camera in the living room, hidden in a decorative plant. Camera in the master bedroom, tucked in the bookshelf. Camera in the kitchen, the study, the dining room. Are you sure you want to see what these record? Rachel asked quietly. I need to, Ava said. I need evidence. Real evidence that will hold up. Because when I take him down, Rachel, I'm taking him all the way down, him and her both. What are you going to do? Ava smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. I'm going to give them exactly what they want. They want to think I'm helpless. I'll be helpless. They want to think I'm crazy. I'll give them crazy. And when they're completely convinced that I'm broken, that I'm nothing, that they've won, that's when I'll show them what a mistake they made. Rachel hugged her. You're terrifying. I love it. I learned from the best. My father always said, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake. What was the second thing he taught you? Ava's smile widened. Strike only when you're sure you'll win, and when you strike, make sure they never get back up. The cameras caught everything. Ava reviewed the footage each night in the guest room, door locked, volume low. She watched them mock her. Watched Chloe go through her jewelry box, trying on pieces, deciding what to sell next. Watched Liam on the phone with the corrupt psychiatrist, discussing how to word the incompetency evaluation. She watched them have sex in every room of her house, on her furniture, in her bed, against her kitchen counter. She watched Chloe spit in her food before serving it to her. She watched Liam practice signing her name, forging her signature. Every night, she downloaded the footage to a secure cloud drive. Every night, she added it to her growing collection of evidence: bank fraud, theft, conspiracy to commit fraud, elder abuse, emotional abuse. And she was building more than just a case against them. She was building an arsenal. Day 20, Ava decided it was time to start fighting back. Subtly, psychologically. At breakfast, she spoke casually. You know, I've been thinking about redecorating, changing the living room colors. That's nice, honey, Liam said, distracted. I think I want to paint it blue. A deep navy blue. It would match the curtains. Liam dropped his fork. The living room curtains were beige. They'd always been beige. What curtains? He asked slowly. The navy blue ones. The ones you put up last month. Ava, the curtains aren't blue. Ava tilted her head, looking confused behind her glasses. Aren't they? I could have sworn. Well, I suppose I wouldn't know, would I? She laughed self-deprecatingly. But she saw Liam and Chloe exchange glances, nervous glances. Over the next few days, she did it again, mentioned colors, mentioned objects being in places they weren't, always getting it right, but pretending it was just a guess or a memory. Lovely yellow roses in the vase today. There were yellow roses. Liam had bought them for Chloe. I love when you wear that green tie, Liam. He was wearing a green tie. Each time, she saw them grow more paranoid, saw them second-guess themselves, saw Chloe pull Liam aside to whisper urgently, "She can't see. She can't. The doctor said." I know what the doctor said, but how does she keep knowing? Lucky guesses, it has to be. But the fear was there now, growing, spreading. And Ava watered it carefully, day by day. Day 25, the final piece fell into place. Ava's lawyer called, not the family lawyer that Liam knew about, a different one Rachel had helped her find, one who specialized in cases of financial abuse and fraud. "Mrs. Chen, I've reviewed all the evidence you sent me. The emails, the bank statements, the video footage. This is extensive. You could have both of them arrested." "Not yet," Ava said quietly from the guest room, door locked. "I need 5 more days. May I ask why? Because in 5 days, they're planning to have me declared incompetent and committed. I want them to try. I want them to think they've succeeded. And then I want to watch their faces when they realize they've lost everything." The lawyer was quiet for a moment. Then, "Mrs. Chen, you remind me why I love my job. I'll have everything ready. The restraining orders, the fraud charges, all of it. Just say when." 5 days, Ava repeated. "Just 5 more days." Day 28, Dr. Martinez came to the house, the corrupt psychiatrist, the one Liam had paid to declare Ava insane. Ava sat in the living room, playing her part perfectly, docile, confused, broken. Dr. Martinez asked her questions, simple questions. "What year is it, Ava?" She hesitated, made herself sound uncertain. 2023, or is it 2024? It was 2024. "And who is the president?" She named the wrong person, on purpose. "Can you count backward from 100 by sevens?" She pretended to struggle, to lose track, to get frustrated and give up. Through it all, Liam and Chloe sat nearby, watching with barely concealed excitement. This was it, the moment they'd been planning for. Dr. Martinez took notes, nodded seriously. "Mrs. Chen, I'm concerned about some cognitive decline. Combined with the trauma of your blindness, I think you may need more comprehensive care than you're receiving at home." "What are you saying?" Ava asked, letting her voice tremble. "I'm saying that a specialized facility might be better equipped to—" "You want to lock me away." Ava stood up abruptly, playing the scene perfectly. "You want to take me from my home. Liam, don't let them, please." Liam put on a show of comforting her. "Honey, it's for your own good. You're not well. We just want you to be safe." Ava allowed herself to cry. Real tears, but not for the reason they thought. She was crying because she was furious. Because this man, this doctor, was corrupt enough to destroy someone's life for money. Because her husband was capable of this level of cruelty. But she let them think she was crying from fear and confusion. "I'll have the papers drawn up," Dr. Martinez said to Liam at the door, his voice low but not low enough. Ava heard every word from where she stood in the hallway. "How soon?" "I can have her committed by the end of the week. Once she's in the facility, you'll have full power of attorney, full access to everything." "Perfect." They shook hands, money exchanged in an envelope. Ava stood in the hallway, trembling with rage, and thought, 2 more days. Just 2 more days. Day 30 arrived with crystal clarity. Ava woke up in the guest room and looked at herself in the mirror for the first time in a month. Really looked. She was thinner, paler, but her eyes were bright and hard and certain. Today was the day. Tonight was Liam's anniversary dinner. He'd planned it weeks ago, before all this started, a celebration with his business partners and their wives, a show of the devoted husband caring for his tragic, blind wife. He had no idea what kind of show Ava had planned. She opened her closet, the tiny closet in the guest room where her few remaining clothes hung. But hidden in the back, in a garment bag Rachel had smuggled in, was the dress. Red. Brilliant. Blood red, form-fitting, powerful, the kind of dress a warrior wears into battle. Ava put on her dark glasses one last time, picked up her white cane, and walked out to face her last day of pretending to be blind. "Good morning," she said sweetly to Liam and Chloe at breakfast. "Morning," Liam said. He was excited. She could hear it in his voice. Tonight, he thought, would be his triumph. His final victory. "Are you looking forward to tonight?" Ava asked. "Very much," Liam said. "It'll be a night to remember." Ava smiled behind her glasses. "Yes," she said softly. "Yes, it will." The day of the anniversary dinner, Ava began her psychological warfare in earnest. She'd spent 30 days gathering evidence, documenting crimes, building her case, but she'd also spent those 30 days learning their patterns, their habits, their tells. She knew when Liam lied. His left eye twitched. She knew when Chloe was nervous. She touched her neck. She knew everything about them, and now it was time to make them know that something was wrong. Terribly wrong. It started at breakfast. Ava sat at the table, dark glasses in place, cane resting against her chair. Liam and Chloe were discussing the dinner party, their voices bright with anticipation. "The Hendersons are coming," Liam said, "and the Chens from the firm. About 12 people total." "Perfect," Chloe purred. "I'll make sure everything is perfect. Poor Ava at the head of the table, so tragic, so helpless, and you, the devoted husband." Ava reached for her orange juice. Her hand moved with perfect precision, no fumbling, no searching. She picked up the glass and took a sip. Then she set it down and said, very casually, "Chloe, that's a beautiful bracelet you're wearing. Is it new?" The room went silent. Chloe's voice came out strangled. "What?" "The bracelet? The diamond tennis bracelet. It catches the light so beautifully." Chloe was wearing a diamond tennis bracelet. Ava's diamond tennis bracelet, stolen from her jewelry box 3 weeks ago. "Ava," Liam said slowly, "how do you know what Chloe is wearing?" Ava tilted her head as if confused. "Don't I? I thought I heard it clinking. The sound of diamonds. My mother had a bracelet that sounded just like that." She smiled. "I must have been remembering." But her hand had moved too precisely to the juice glass. Her comment had been too specific. Liam and Chloe stared at each other across the table. "Just a lucky guess," Ava said sweetly, and took another sip of her juice. She could feel their eyes on her for the rest of breakfast. Watching, wondering. An hour later, Ava was in the living room, supposedly listening to an audiobook. But she'd turned the volume down low, so low that anyone checking would think she was deeply absorbed in her story. Liam and Chloe were in the kitchen, and they thought they were speaking quietly. But Ava heard every word. "She knew about the bracelet," Chloe hissed. "She described it exactly. She heard it clinking. She said so. Liam, diamonds don't clink that loudly. And the way she reached for that glass this morning, no hesitation, perfect aim. She's been living in this house for months. She knows where things are, muscle memory. What if the surgery worked? What if she can see?" "That's impossible. We paid off her doctor. Dr. Stevens confirmed the damage was permanent. There's no way." "Then test her," Chloe insisted. "Do something. Make sure." Silence. Then Liam spoke, his voice cold and calculating. "Fine. We'll test her." Ava smiled behind her audiobook. "Good. Let them test her. Let them try." The test came during lunch. Ava sat at the dining table, and Chloe placed a plate in front of her. "Chicken salad," Chloe announced. "Your favorite." Ava could smell it, could see it. It was chicken salad. But there was something else on the plate, placed deliberately at 3 o'clock. A lemon wedge, bright yellow, impossible to miss if you could see it. "Thank you," Ava said. She picked up her fork, made a show of feeling around the plate. Her fork touched the chicken salad. She took a bite. Then, very deliberately, she moved her fork toward the lemon wedge. She had to make a choice. If she avoided it, they'd know she could see. If she stabbed it, they'd think she was blind. But Ava had a better idea. She let her fork drift past the lemon, then brought it back to the chicken salad. She took another bite, chewed, swallowed. Then she said, conversationally, "This is delicious, Chloe, though I'm surprised you didn't squeeze the lemon on it. You usually do." She heard Chloe's sharp intake of breath. "What lemon?" Chloe asked, her voice tight. "The one on the plate. I can smell it. Fresh lemon. You always put a wedge on the side of chicken salad. It's one of your habits." It was true. Chloe did always put lemon on the side. Ava had noticed it in the past month, had seen it happen a dozen times. Yes, there is a lemon," Chloe admitted. "Would you squeeze it for me? I can't see where it is." Ava smiled pleasantly. She heard Liam release a breath he'd been holding. Saw him, peripherally, nod at Chloe. The test was passed, or so they thought. But Ava had seen the look on Chloe's face, the doubt, the fear, and she'd planted it deeper. 2 hours before the dinner party, Ava escalated. She was in the guest room, door closed, when she heard them in the hallway. "I need to shower and get ready," Chloe said. "Use the master bathroom. I'll shower after you." "What if she comes in?" "She won't. She's in her room. Besides, she can't see anything, remember?" Ava waited until she heard the shower start. Then she crept out of her room, silent as a ghost. She stood outside the master bathroom door, listening to the water run, listening to Chloe humming. Then she opened the door. The bathroom was full of steam. Through the frosted glass shower door, she could see Chloe's silhouette, washing her hair. Ava walked to the sink. She picked up Chloe's phone from the counter. The screen lit up with a text notification from Liam. "Can't wait to get rid of her tonight." Ava's jaw clenched, but she didn't react. Instead, she did something calculated. She turned on the cold water in the sink, full blast. In the shower, the water temperature immediately dropped. Chloe shrieked, "What the hell?" Ava turned off the water, placed the phone back exactly where it had been, and called out in a confused voice, "Chloe, are you okay? I heard you scream." The shower turned off. The door slid open. Chloe stood there, dripping, furious, wrapped in a towel. "And what are you doing in here?" Ava held up her hands, defensive, confused. "I'm sorry. I got turned around. I thought this was the guest bathroom. I was going to wash my face before the party." "This is the master bathroom. Your bathroom is down the hall." "I'm sorry," Ava said again. "I got confused. All the doors feel the same." Chloe stared at her, water dripping from her hair, suspicion written all over her face. But Ava's expression was innocent, helpless behind those dark glasses. "Get out," Chloe said. "Of course, I'm so sorry." Ava turned and shuffled out, using her cane, moving like someone who genuinely didn't know where she was. But she knew exactly what she'd done. She'd invaded Chloe's space. She'd reminded Chloe that even blind, Ava was still present, still moving through the house, still unpredictable. She'd gotten into Chloe's head 1 hour before the party. Ava made her final preparation. Rachel had smuggled in the dress, but she'd also smuggled in something else, a tiny earpiece nearly invisible that would allow them to communicate during the dinner. Ava fitted it into her ear, tested it. Rachel's voice came through clearly. "Can you hear me?" "Perfectly," Ava whispered. "Are you ready for this?" Ava looked at herself in the mirror. She was still wearing the dark glasses, still holding the cane, but underneath her robe was the red dress. In her hand was a flash drive containing 30 days of evidence. In her phone were photographs, bank records, emails. "I've been ready for 30 days, Ava said. "Now I'm just going to enjoy watching them burn." "The lawyer is standing by. The moment you give the signal, he'll send everything to the authorities." "Good. Tell him to wait for my text. It'll just say one word, now." "Ava, make them suffer." Ava smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Oh, Rachel, I plan to. The guests began arriving at 7. Ava heard them from the guest room, voices in the foyer, Liam playing the gracious host, Chloe pretending to be the helpful cousin caretaker, modest and sweet. Ava's having a difficult day, she heard Liam say, but she wanted to be here for our anniversary. She's so brave. Ava checked herself one more time in the mirror. The red dress fit perfectly, hugging every curve. She'd done her own makeup, something she hadn't been able to do in months. Dark eyes, red lips. She looked like herself again. No, she looked better than herself. She looked dangerous. But over the dress, she wrapped a shapeless cardigan. Over her face, she kept the dark glasses. In her hand, she gripped the white cane. Not yet. Not quite yet. She shuffled out to the dining room, playing her part one last time. Ava! Liam's voice was warm, performative. He came to her side, took her arm. Sweetheart, let me help you to your seat. The guests murmured sympathetically. Poor thing. So tragic. So young. Ava let Liam guide her to the head of the table. She sat down, and immediately someone placed a napkin in her lap, treating her like a child, like someone incapable. Everyone, Liam announced, thank you all for coming to celebrate our 3rd anniversary. As you know, it's been a difficult year for us, but we're managing. Aren't we, darling? Yes, Ava said softly. We're managing. Chloe brought out the first course, salad. She placed Ava's plate in front of her with exaggerated care. Here you are, Ava, salad. Fork is on your left. Thank you, Chloe, Ava said. You're always so helpful. She heard Chloe's sharp intake of breath. The emphasis on helpful had been just slight enough to be noticeable. Ava ate her salad slowly, carefully, while around her the guests talked. They discussed business, politics, gossip. They barely included her. To them, she was a prop, a tragic figure at the head of the table, something to pity and then ignore. But Ava was listening to everything, memorizing who was here, who would witness what was about to happen. The Hendersons from Liam's firm, the Chens, senior partners, the Rodriguezes, potential investors, Margaret Wu, the biggest gossip in their social circle. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. The main course arrived. Steak. Chloe placed Ava's plate in front of her, and Ava heard the woman's voice. Syrupy sweet. I cut it for you, Ava, into small pieces, so you don't hurt yourself. Ava touched her plate, felt the food. It had been cut into tiny pieces, like food for a toddler. Around the table, she heard the other guests' plates being set down. She smelled their steaks, whole, proper, adult portions. Thank you, Ava said quietly, meekly. She began to eat her baby food steak while conversation flowed around her. And then, halfway through the meal, she struck. She set down her fork and said, loud enough for the entire table to hear, Liam, I had the most interesting dream last night. The table quieted. Liam's voice was cautious. Oh. I dreamed I could see again. And in my dream, I saw you and Chloe. You were in our bedroom, but it wasn't a dream of the past. It was a dream of last night. I saw exactly what you were doing. She paused. Do you want me to describe it? The silence was absolute. Ava, Liam said, his voice strained with false laughter. You're having one of your episodes. Maybe you should lie down. An episode? Is that what we're calling it? Ava tilted her head. Dr. Martinez called it cognitive decline. But that's interesting, considering I've never had cognitive problems before. Only after he examined me. Only after you paid him. Ava, please. I also dreamed about bank accounts. Transfers. Money moving from my trust fund into an account I've never seen. Thousands and thousands of dollars. Strange dreams for a blind woman, don't you think? Chloe's voice was sharp. She doesn't know what she's saying. The stress has been too much for her. Ava turned toward Chloe's voice with precision. Perfect. Exact precision. Oh, I know exactly what I'm saying, Chloe. Or should I call you by your real name? Because we both know you're not Liam's cousin. You're his mistress. You've been his mistress for almost a year. Since before the accident? Gasps around the table. This is insane, Liam said, standing up. Everyone, I apologize. My wife has been under tremendous stress. She's not well. She needs to… Sit down, Liam, Ava said. Her voice was steel now. Because I'm not finished. And then she did it. She reached up with both hands and removed her dark glasses. Her eyes, clear and focused and burning with rage, swept across the table. She met each guest's gaze. Let them see. Let them understand. I can see you, she said. I've been able to see for 30 days, and I've watched everything. The room exploded. Liam's face went white, then red. That's impossible. The doctors said… The doctors lied. Or rather, you paid them to lie. But Dr. Patricia Wong at the Metropolitan Eye Institute didn't lie. She performed surgery. She restored my vision. And I chose not to tell you. I chose to live in darkness, pretending to be helpless, while I documented every single thing you did to me. She stood up now, shedding the cardigan. The red dress gleamed like blood under the chandelier light. She looked like an avenging angel. For 30 days, I watched you mock me, abuse me, steal from me. I watched you feed me garbage while you ate lobster. I watched you wear my jewelry, sleep in my bed, plan to have me committed so you could steal everything I own. Chloe was backing toward the door. This is crazy. She's making this up. Am I? Ava pulled out her phone. Because I have video. Hours and hours of video. Would you like to see? I'm happy to show everyone here exactly what kind of woman you are, Chloe. What kind of man my husband is. You're bluffing, Liam said, but his voice shook. Ava smiled. Try me. She turned to the smart TV on the wall, pulled up the app, and pressed play. On the screen, crystal clear, was footage from the living room camera. Liam and Chloe, kissing on the couch. Liam's hand up Chloe's shirt, both of them laughing. And in the corner of the frame, just visible, was Ava. Sitting in her chair, headphones on, supposedly oblivious. The date stamp showed it was from 2 weeks ago. Turn it off, Liam said. Why? We're just getting started. Ava swiped to another video. This one from the bedroom. Liam and Chloe, naked, tangled together. Liam saying, once we get her committed, everything she has is ours. Margaret Wu made a small sound of horror. Ava swiped again. Chloe, going through Ava's jewelry box, pocketing a diamond necklace, the same necklace she'd worn to church last Sunday. Again, Liam on the phone with Dr. Martinez, discussing how to word the psychiatric evaluation to make Ava sound incompetent. Again, Chloe spitting in Ava's food before serving it. With each video, the guests' expressions grew more horrified, more disgusted. Stop, Liam shouted. This is a violation of privacy. You can't… I can't. Ava's voice was dangerous. You tried to have me institutionalized. You stole my inheritance. You brought your whore into my home and let her abuse me. And you're worried about privacy. She turned to the guests. For those of you wondering, yes, I have documentation of everything. Bank fraud, forgery, conspiracy to commit fraud, theft, and I've already sent it all to my lawyer and the police. As if on cue, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. A text from Rachel. Police are on their way. ETA 5 minutes. Perfect timing. You bitch, Chloe hissed, all pretense of sweetness gone. You think you're so smart? You're nothing. You're just a… Careful, Ava interrupted. Remember, I'm still recording. Everything you say right now is evidence. Chloe's mouth snapped shut. Liam was sweating now, his handsome face twisted with panic. Ava, please. Let's talk about this privately. I'm sure we can work something out. Work something out. Like the way you worked out having me declared insane? Like the way you worked out stealing my money? Ava stepped closer to him. You should have just divorced me, Liam. It would have been cleaner. You would have gotten half of everything, which is more than you deserve. But you were greedy. You wanted it all. I loved you, Liam said desperately. I still love you. Ava laughed. Actually laughed. You loved my money. You loved my trust fund. You never loved me. And the truly pathetic thing, I would have given you anything if you'd just been honest. If you'd just been kind. She turned to Chloe. And you. You called yourself a nurse. You were supposed to care for people. Instead, you abused a woman you thought was helpless. You stole from her, mocked her. How does it feel, knowing that she saw everything, that she was watching you the whole time? Chloe's face crumpled. We didn't mean. Save it for your lawyer. You're going to need one. Outside, the sound of sirens. The guests were already gathering their things, murmuring excuses, desperate to escape the scandal unfolding before them. Margaret Wu was already on her phone, no doubt spreading the news to everyone she knew. Good. Let them spread it. Let everyone know what Liam had done. The doorbell rang. That'll be the police, Ava said calmly. Liam Chen, Chloe Reeves, I believe they're here for you. The doorbell rang again, insistent and authoritative. Liam moved toward the door, but Ava's voice stopped him cold. Don't bother running, Liam. I had Rachel call them 20 minutes ago. They're probably already at the back door, too. As if to confirm her words, there was a heavy knock from the kitchen entrance. One of the remaining guests, Thomas Henderson, opened the front door. 2 police officers stepped inside, their eyes immediately scanning the room, taking in the scene, the frozen dinner party, the television still displaying incriminating footage, Ava standing in her red dress like a warrior queen, and Liam and Chloe looking like cornered animals. NYPD, the first officer said, a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes. We're looking for Liam Chen and Chloe Reeves. That would be them, Ava said, pointing with perfect precision. My husband and his accomplice. The second officer, a younger man, stepped forward with handcuffs ready. Mr. Chen, Ms. Reeves, we need you to come with us. We have questions regarding charges of fraud, theft, conspiracy to commit fraud, and elder abuse. Elder abuse? Liam sputtered. She's 28 years old. The abuse of a disabled person falls under the same statute, the female officer explained. Though I understand from the report that you're not actually disabled anymore, Mrs. Chen. No, officer. I had surgery a month ago. My vision was fully restored, but I chose not to inform my husband because I wanted to document his crimes. Ava gestured to her phone. I have 30 days of video evidence, bank records, emails, and text messages. All of it has been sent to my attorney, Marcus Wellington, who I believe has already been in contact with the district attorney's office. The officer nodded. We're aware. Mr. Wellington provided us with a substantial file. Chloe suddenly lunged toward Ava, her face contorted with rage. You vindictive bitch! You ruined everything! We could have had it all! The younger officer caught her before she got within 3 feet of Ava. Ms. Reeves, I'd advise you to calm down. Assault charges won't help your situation. I didn't assault anyone. She's the one who documented you committing multiple felonies, the female officer finished. You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it. Liam tried a different approach. He turned to the remaining guests, his voice taking on that smooth, persuasive tone he used in business negotiations. This is all a misunderstanding. My wife has been under tremendous psychological stress. The blindness, the recovery, it's affected her mentally. She's seeing conspiracies where there are none. Is that so? The female officer pulled out her phone. Because we've already reviewed some of the evidence Mrs. Chen provided, including this video from, she checked the timestamp, 3 days ago, where you're on the phone with Dr. Richard Martinez discussing a psychiatric evaluation you paid him to falsify. Liam's face went ashen. The officer continued reading from her phone, and I quote, make sure the evaluation shows severe cognitive decline. I need her declared incompetent by the end of the week. The payment is in your account. End quote. Dr. Martinez has already been brought in for questioning, by the way. He's being very cooperative. That's taken out of context, Liam said weakly. Mr. Chen, the officer said, her voice hard now, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. As she read them their Miranda rights, Ava watched Liam's face transform. The smooth confidence crumbled, the handsome features twisted with desperation. This was a man who'd spent his entire life charming his way out of trouble, manipulating situations to his advantage. And for the first time, perhaps in his entire life, it wasn't working. The younger officer cuffed Liam's hands behind his back. The click of the metal was the most satisfying sound Ava had ever heard. Chloe was crying now, mascara running down her face, all her beauty dissolving into ugly desperation. Please, I didn't know it was illegal. Liam said it was fine. He said she wouldn't mind. He said, "Save it for your lawyer," the female officer said, cuffing her as well. But Ava wasn't done. She stepped closer to Chloe, looked the woman directly in her tear-stained eyes. "You know what the worst part is, Chloe. I would have helped you. If you'd come to me honestly, told me you needed money, needed a job, needed anything, I would have helped you. I've donated to charities. I've helped strangers. But you chose to abuse me instead. You chose cruelty. And now you get to live with that choice." Chloe's sobs intensified. Ava turned to Liam. "And you. You stood at an altar and promised to love me in sickness and in health. The moment I became sick, the moment I needed you most, you saw an opportunity. You brought your mistress into our home. You mocked me. You planned to lock me away and steal everything my parents left me." "Ava, I'm sorry," Liam said. And for the first time, he might have actually meant it. Not sorry for what he'd done, but sorry he'd been caught. "Please, don't do this. We can fix this." "Fix this?" Ava's voice was ice. "There's nothing to fix, Liam. There's only consequences. Something you've avoided your whole life, but not anymore." She pulled out her phone and held it up so he could see the screen. On it was a text message, already composed, ready to send. To Marcus Wellington, attorney at law, message. Now. She pressed send. "What did you just do?" Liam asked, panic rising in his voice. "I just activated the second phase," Ava said calmly. "My attorney is now filing for an emergency restraining order against both of you. He's also filing for immediate divorce on grounds of adultery and fraud. He's freezing all joint accounts. And he's filing a civil suit for every penny you stole from me, plus damages for emotional distress, pain and suffering, and punitive damages." She smiled. "I'm taking everything, Liam. The house, the cars, the business assets, every single thing we owned together. And then I'm taking more. I'm going to sue you for so much money that even after you get out of prison, you'll spend the rest of your life paying it back. You can't. I can. And I will. You taught me something valuable, Liam. You taught me that mercy is for people who deserve it. And you don't." The officers began leading them toward the door. Liam was still trying to talk, to negotiate, to find an angle, but his voice was growing fainter, more desperate. Chloe turned back one last time. "What about my things? My clothes? Your things?" Ava's laugh was sharp. "You mean my things that you stole? The officers will inventory everything. You'll get back whatever you can prove you actually owned, which I'm guessing is those 2 suitcases you brought when you moved in. Everything else stays here." "But I have nowhere to go." "You should have thought of that before you spit in my food." The door closed behind them. Through the window, Ava watched as they were loaded into separate police cars. Liam was still talking, his mouth moving frantically. Chloe was hunched over, sobbing. The red and blue lights painted the night in colors Ava had thought she'd never see again. The remaining guests stood in awkward silence. Margaret Wu was the first to speak. "Ava, dear, I had no idea. If we'd known what was happening..." "You would have done what?" Ava turned to face them. "Would you have believed me? Would you have helped? Or would you have thought exactly what Liam wanted you to think? That I was crazy, incompetent, a burden?" Margaret had the grace to look ashamed. Thomas Henderson cleared his throat. "For what it's worth, that took tremendous courage. What you did. The planning, the patience. It took survival," Ava corrected. "They left me no choice. They were going to lock me away and steal my life. I just made sure they didn't get the chance." She looked at each of them in turn. You're all witnesses now. The police will want statements. I suggest you tell them exactly what you saw tonight. The videos, the confrontation, everything, because Liam is going to try to spin this. He's going to claim I'm unstable, vindictive, that I fabricated evidence. Your testimony will help ensure he can't. One by one, they nodded. Now, if you'll excuse me, Ava said, suddenly exhausted. It's been a very long day, and an even longer month. I'd like you all to leave. They gathered their things quickly, offering awkward condolences and promises to testify. Margaret was the last to go, pausing at the door. Ava? I'm going to tell everyone what really happened here, the whole story. By tomorrow morning, everyone in our circle will know what Liam did to you. Good, Ava said. Let them know. Let everyone know. The door closed behind Margaret, and finally, Ava was alone. She stood in her dining room, still set for the anniversary dinner that had turned into a reckoning. The plates of half-eaten steak, the wine glasses still full, the decorations Chloe had put up, trying to make everything look perfect for the guests. All of it felt surreal now. Ava's phone buzzed. A text from Rachel. I'm watching the police scanner. They've got them both in custody. Are you okay? Ava typed back, I'm better than okay. I'm free. Another buzz, this time from her attorney, Marcus Wellington. Restraining order approved. Divorce papers filed. All joint accounts frozen. The house is yours. The cars are yours. Everything is locked down. He can't touch a penny. Well done, Mrs. Chen. I'll be in touch tomorrow with next steps. Ava sank into a chair, suddenly aware of how much adrenaline had been coursing through her body. Her hands were shaking now. Her breath was coming in short gasps. She'd done it. She'd actually done it. For 30 days, she'd lived in fear that something would go wrong, that they'd discover she could see, that the cameras would be found, that her attorney wouldn't be able to build a strong enough case. But everything had worked. Every piece had fallen into place. She thought about calling Rachel, about celebrating, but she was too tired, too emotionally drained. Instead, she walked through her house now, truly hers, and looked at it with clear eyes. She went to the master bedroom. Chloe's things were everywhere. Cheap makeup on the expensive vanity, trashy magazines on the nightstand. The bed was unmade, sheets that Ava had paid for twisted and stained. Ava stripped the bed methodically, every sheet, every pillowcase. She carried them to the laundry room and threw them in the washing machine on the hottest setting. Then she added bleach, extra bleach. She went through the closet, pulling out every item that was Chloe's, the cheap dresses, the knockoff handbags, the costume jewelry. She piled it all in the hallway. Then she found her own clothes, the ones that had been shoved to the back, wrinkled and mistreated. She pulled them out, one by one, and hung them properly. Her favorite blue dress, her mother's vintage coat, her father's old Yale sweatshirt that she wore when she was sad. She found her jewelry box in Liam's sock drawer, where he'd hidden it, opened it. Most of her good pieces were gone, already sold, but a few remained. Her mother's wedding ring, her grandmother's pearls, the pieces that had sentimental value but not much monetary worth. The things he hadn't bothered to steal because they wouldn't fetch much at a pawn shop. Ava held her mother's ring up to the light, watched it sparkle. Her mother had died when Ava was 19, her father 2 years later. They'd left her everything, money, property, investments. They'd left her secure, protected, or so they'd thought. I'm sorry I let this happen, Ava whispered to the ring, but I fixed it. I promise I fixed it. She slipped the ring onto her finger and felt, for the first time in months, like herself again. At midnight, Ava was still awake. She sat in the living room, the one where she'd spent so many hours pretending to be blind, and watched the video footage one more time, not because she needed to, not because she had any doubt, but because she wanted to remember. She wanted to remember the moment she decided to fight back, the moment she put on those dark glasses and chose deception over despair. She watched herself on camera, sitting so still, so patient, while Liam and Chloe destroyed her things, mocked her pain, celebrated her helplessness. She watched herself endure, and now, She watched them being led away in handcuffs. Her phone rang. Rachel. I couldn't sleep without checking on you, Rachel said. Are you really okay? I am, Ava said, and meant it. I really am. You know what you did tonight was incredible, right? Most people wouldn't have had the strength. Most people wouldn't have had to, Ava said quietly. But yes, I know. What happens now? Ava looked around her house, her beautiful, violated, reclaimed house. Now I rebuild. I take back everything they tried to steal. Not just the money and the house, but my dignity, my power, my life. And then, Ava smiled. And then I make sure they never forget what happens when you underestimate a woman you think is helpless. She ended the call and sat in the silence of her home. Tomorrow, there would be lawyers and police statements and media attention. Margaret Wu would ensure the story spread like wildfire through their social circle. Liam's business reputation would be destroyed. Chloe's nursing license would be revoked. There would be trials and testimonies and judgments. But tonight, Ava simply sat in her living room and saw it clearly for the first time in months. The walls were cream-colored, not white like Liam had told her. The curtains were indeed navy blue, not beige. The painting over the fireplace was a landscape of mountains, not the abstract she'd remembered. So many small details that had changed while she was blind. Changes Liam and Chloe had made to erase her, to make the house theirs. But Ava saw all of it now. And tomorrow, she would change it all back. She would paint the walls the color she wanted, hang the art she loved, fill the space with her life, not theirs. But for tonight, she just sat in the darkness, chosen darkness, not forced, and felt the weight of 30 days of pretending lift from her shoulders. She had seen everything, and now they would pay for everything. 3 months later, Ava stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of her attorney's office, looking out over the Manhattan skyline. The city sparkled in the afternoon sun, alive and brilliant. She'd never take sight for granted again. Every color, every detail, every glimpse of beauty. She drank it all in like someone who'd been dying of thirst. Behind her, Marcus Wellington was reviewing documents at his desk. He was a man in his 60s, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, with a reputation for being absolutely ruthless in court. Exactly the kind of lawyer Ava needed. The criminal trial starts next week, Marcus said. The prosecution is very confident. With the video evidence, the financial records, and Dr. Martinez's testimony, he's cooperating fully in exchange for a reduced sentence. They expect guilty verdicts on all counts. How long? Ava asked, not turning from the window. For Liam, fraud, conspiracy, theft, abuse of a disabled person, the DA is pushing for 8 to 12 years. For Chloe, probably 5 to 7. She's trying to claim she was manipulated by Liam, but given the video evidence of her actively participating in the abuse, Marcus's voice was grim. The jury won't be sympathetic. Good, Ava said simply. The civil case is proceeding as well. We've already frozen all of Liam's assets. The house, the cars, his business accounts, everything. He tried to hide money in offshore accounts, but we found those too. Ava turned from the window. He underestimated me again. Marcus smiled. He underestimated both of us. We've also successfully sued Dr. Martinez for malpractice and fraud. His medical license has been permanently revoked, and he's agreed to pay restitution. The hospital where he practiced is settling with us as well to avoid a larger lawsuit. And my inheritance, my trust fund. Every penny has been recovered, plus the money from the settlements, plus the value of assets we're seizing from Liam. When this is all finished, Mrs. Chen, you'll have significantly more than you started with. I don't want more, Ava said quietly. I just want what's mine. You'll have that, and justice, which, in my experience, is worth more than money. There was a knock at the door. Marcus's assistant poked her head in. Mrs. Chen, there's someone here to see you. She says it's urgent. Ava frowned. Who? She says her name is Diana Reeves, Chloe Reeves's mother. Ava and Marcus exchanged glances. Show her in, Ava said. The woman who entered was in her 50s, dressed in clothes that had once been nice but were now worn and dated. Her face was lined with worry, and her eyes were red from crying. She looked at Ava with a mixture of desperation and resentment. "Mrs. Chen," Diana Reeves said, her voice shaking. "Thank you for seeing me." "Mrs. Reeves," Ava said coolly, "what can I do for you?" "My daughter, Chloe. She's going to prison because of you." Ava's expression didn't change. "Your daughter is going to prison because of her own actions. She chose to abuse me. She chose to steal from me. She chose to participate in a conspiracy to have me falsely committed. Those were her choices, not mine." "She was in love," Diana said, tears streaming down her face now. "She thought Liam loved her. She thought they were going to be together. He manipulated her. Used her? She was an adult who made adult decisions," Ava replied. "She spit in my food, Mrs. Reeves. She mocked me to my face. She stole my jewelry and wore it while I sat 3 feet away, supposedly unable to see. That wasn't love. That was cruelty." "Please," Diana begged. "Please drop the charges. Or at least, reduce them. She's my only daughter. 5 years in prison will destroy her." Ava felt something twist in her chest. For just a moment, she saw herself in this woman, a mother desperate to protect her child. Her own mother would have done anything for her. But then she remembered the cold oatmeal while they ate steak, remembered the darkness she'd lived in, real and then chosen, while they planned to lock her away forever, remembered 30 days of documented abuse. "Mrs. Reeves," Ava said, her voice softer but no less firm, "I am not the one pressing criminal charges. The district attorney is, and even if I wanted to drop the civil suit, which I don't, it wouldn't change the criminal case. Your daughter committed felonies, multiple felonies, on camera. The state is prosecuting her, not me." "But if you testified on her behalf—" "I won't," Ava interrupted. "I can't, because everything I would testify to would only make her look worse. I have 30 days of video evidence of her abusing me. I have her on camera discussing how to steal my money. I have her confession to the police where she admitted to everything. My testimony won't help her, Mrs. Reeves. It will bury her." Diana Reeves collapsed into a chair, sobbing. "She's my baby, my little girl." Ava felt Marcus touch her arm gently, a silent question. "Do you want me to ask her to leave?" But Ava shook her head. She sat down across from Diana Reeves and waited until the woman's sobs subsided. "Mrs. Reeves?" Ava said quietly. "I understand you love your daughter, but your daughter helped my husband plan to institutionalize me so they could steal my inheritance. Do you understand what that means? They were going to lock me in a psychiatric facility for the rest of my life. They were going to tell me I was insane until I believed it. They were going to take everything my parents left me and spend it on themselves while I rotted in a padded room." Diana looked up, her face blotchy and tear-stained. "So no," Ava continued, "I will not help her. I will not show mercy to someone who showed me none. Your daughter is an adult who made choices, and now she has to face the consequences. Just like I had to face the consequences of trusting the wrong person. Just like I had to face blindness and abuse and betrayal." "She said you were faking," Diana whispered. "She said you were pretending to be blind to trap them." Ava pulled out her phone. She scrolled to a video and turned it so Diana could see. "This is from the day after my surgery, the day I regained my sight. Watch." The video showed Ava in the living room, dark glasses on, cane in hand, and it showed Liam and Chloe kissing passionately on the couch, 3 feet from where Ava sat. Chloe's hand was in Liam's pants. His hand was up her shirt. "I wasn't faking being blind to trap them, Mrs. Reeves. I was pretending to still be blind to protect myself, because if they'd known I could see, they would have moved faster. They would have had me committed before I could gather evidence. I had to let them think they were winning so I could survive." Diana watched the video, her face crumbling. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry for what she did to you." "I appreciate that," Ava said. "But it doesn't change anything. Your daughter is going to prison, and while I don't take pleasure in that, I don't regret it either. She earned it." Diana stood on shaking legs. I understand. I had to try. For my daughter. I know, Ava said. Any mother would. After Diana left, Marcus poured Ava a glass of water. That was hard. Yes, Ava agreed, but necessary. You could have been crueler. I don't want to be cruel, Ava said. I just want to be free, and I want them to pay for what they did. Those aren't contradictory things. The criminal trial was swift and brutal. Ava sat in the courtroom every single day, dressed impeccably, her eyes clear and focused. She watched as the prosecution presented the evidence, the videos, the bank records, the emails. She watched Liam's expensive lawyers try to argue that the videos were taken without consent, that they violated privacy laws. The judge shut that down immediately. The videos were taken in Mrs. Chen's own home, the judge said. She had every right to record what was happening in her own house, especially given that she believed crimes were being committed against her. She watched Chloe's public defender try to paint her as a victim of Liam's manipulation. But then, the prosecution showed the video of Chloe alone in the bedroom, trying on Ava's jewelry, laughing at her reflection, saying to herself, "Stupid blind bitch. She'll never know." The jury's expressions turned to stone. Dr. Martinez testified, explaining how Liam had paid him $50,000 to declare Ava mentally incompetent, how he'd fabricated test results, how he'd written a false psychiatric evaluation. I knew it was wrong, Dr. Martinez said from the stand, his voice hollow. But I was in debt, gambling debts. I needed the money. So you were willing to destroy an innocent woman's life for money? The prosecutor asked. Yes, Dr. Martinez admitted. God help me, yes. Ava testified for 3 hours. She described the abuse, the mockery, the cold oatmeal and the stolen jewelry, the way they'd laughed at her while she sat mere feet away, pretending to be lost in an audiobook. Why didn't you tell them immediately when your sight was restored? The defense attorney asked, trying to make her look vindictive. Ava looked directly at the jury. Because they were planning to have me committed in 2 weeks. If I'd revealed I could see, they would have accelerated their plan. I had to pretend to still be blind to protect myself and gather evidence. I had to survive first. Justice could come later. The jury nodded. They understood. When Liam took the stand in his own defense, he tried to play the victim. Tried to claim that Ava had been difficult, demanding, that he'd felt trapped in the marriage. See, so you decided to have her committed instead of divorcing her? The prosecutor asked. No, that's not what I meant. But that's what you did, isn't it? You paid a doctor to declare her incompetent so you could steal her inheritance. I was trying to help her. By stealing her money, by sleeping with another woman in her home, by feeding her cold canned soup while you ate lobster? Liam had no answer. The jury deliberated for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Liam's face went white as the verdict was read. He looked at Ava across the courtroom, and for the first time, she saw real fear in his eyes. Good. Chloe's trial was shorter. She pleaded guilty to reduce charges in exchange for testimony against Liam, but it didn't help much. The judge still sentenced her to 6 years. You were in a position of trust, the judge said during sentencing. Mrs. Chen was vulnerable, disabled, and dependent on the people around her for basic care, and you abused that trust in the cruelest way possible. You don't deserve leniency. You deserve to understand what it feels like to be powerless. Liam got 12 years. When the sentence was handed down, he finally broke. He turned in his seat and looked at Ava. I'm sorry, he said, tears streaming down his face. Ava, I'm so sorry, please. Ava stood. She looked at him one last time. The man she'd married, the man she'd loved, the man who'd tried to destroy her. You're not sorry for what you did, she said clearly. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. And then she walked out of the courtroom and didn't look back. 6 months after the trial, Ava stood in the driveway of her home, her completely renovated home. She'd gutted the master bedroom, replaced everything, new bed, new furniture, new paint, new everything. The guest room where she'd been exiled was now a home office, decorated in colors that made her happy. The living room had been repainted. The couch where Liam and Chloe had done unspeakable things was gone, replaced with something beautiful and entirely hers. Every trace of them had been erased. Rachel stood beside her, arms crossed, smiling. "It looks amazing." "It feels amazing," Ava said. "It feels like mine again." "What are you going to do now?" Ava pulled out her phone. On the screen was an email from Columbia University. "I'm going back to school," she said. "I dropped out when my parents died, but I only had 1 year left. I'm going to finish my degree." "In what?" "Psychology. I want to help people who've been abused, people who think they're helpless. I want to show them they're not." Rachel hugged her. "Your parents would be so proud." "I hope so," Ava whispered. She thought about them often, wondered what they would think of everything that had happened. The accident, the abuse, the revenge. She thought they'd understand. Her father had been a lawyer, after all. He'd taught her about justice, about fighting back, about never letting anyone steal what was yours. Her mother had been a survivor of domestic violence in her first marriage. She'd escaped, rebuilt her life, and found happiness with Ava's father. They'd both taught her that survival wasn't weakness, that fighting back wasn't cruelty, that protecting yourself was necessary. Ava walked to her car, a brand new convertible, cherry red, beautiful and fast. She'd bought it with the settlement money from the hospital. She'd learned to drive again, had passed her test on the first try. She slid into the driver's seat, felt the leather beneath her hands, the sun on her face. For so long, she'd been dependent on others. Liam had driven her everywhere when she was blind. She'd been a passenger in her own life, not anymore. She started the engine, felt it purr to life. Rachel leaned in the window. "Where are you going?" "Nowhere in particular," Ava said, smiling. "Everywhere. Anywhere I want." She pulled out of the driveway, the wind in her hair, the world spread out before her in brilliant color. She thought about Liam, sitting in a prison cell, orange jumpsuit replacing his expensive suits. She thought about Chloe, learning what it felt like to be powerless, to be at the mercy of people who didn't care. She didn't hate them anymore. Hate required energy, attention, emotion, and they didn't deserve any of those things from her. Instead, she felt free. Free from their lies. Free from their abuse. Free from the darkness they'd tried to trap her in. She'd walked through hell and come out the other side stronger, smarter, more certain of who she was and what she deserved. They'd thought her blindness made her weak. They'd thought her helplessness made her easy to exploit. They'd thought wrong. As Ava drove through the city, she passed the courthouse where they'd been sentenced. She didn't slow down, didn't even glance at it. That chapter was over. She had a new story to write now, her story, not defined by what they'd done to her, but by what she'd done to survive it. She drove to the Hudson River, parked, and walked to the water's edge. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. She pulled out her phone and opened her voice recorder. She'd been doing this for months now, recording her thoughts, her feelings, her journey. "Day 180, she said into the phone. 6 months since the trial. 6 months since I took my life back." She paused, watching the light play on the water. "People ask me if I regret it, if I wish I just told the truth from the beginning, gone to the police immediately when I regained my sight. They ask if 30 days of pretending was worth it." She smiled. "But when I tell them, those 30 days taught me something invaluable. They taught me patience. They taught me strategy. They taught me that sometimes the best revenge isn't immediate, it's calculated, it's complete, it's devastating." Liam and Chloe thought they were so smart, thought they'd covered their tracks, thought I was too broken to fight back. But by waiting, by watching, by documenting everything, I didn't just stop them. I destroyed them. Completely. Utterly. Their reputations, their freedom, their futures, all of it. Gone. And me? I'm here. I'm free. I'm whole. They tried to bury me in darkness, but they didn't realize that sometimes darkness is where you learn to see most clearly. She ended the recording and slipped her phone back into her pocket. A jogger passed by, earbuds in, oblivious. A couple walked hand in hand, laughing. Life continued, normal and beautiful and bright. Ava stood there for a long time, watching the sun sink below the horizon, watching the day give way to night. But she wasn't afraid of the dark anymore. She'd learned that she could survive it. More than survive, she could conquer it. Finally, as the first stars began to appear, Ava walked back to her car. She had dinner plans with Rachel, then a late-night study session for her return to classes next week. She had a life to live, a real life. Her life. As she drove away from the river, she glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. The water reflected the dying light, dark and beautiful. They thought darkness would break me, Ava whispered to her reflection. Instead, it made me unstoppable. She smiled, turned up the music, and drove into her future, eyes wide open, seeing everything.